Alexander the Great's legacy was the dissemination of Greek culture throughout Asia. Alexander's legacy extended beyond his military conquests. His campaigns greatly increased contacts and trade between the East and the West, and vast areas to the east were exposed to Greek civilization and influence. Some of the cities he founded became major cultural centers, and many survived into the 21st century. His chroniclers recorded valuable information about the areas through which he marched, while the Greeks themselves attained a sense of belonging to a world beyond the Mediterranean. Alexander's most immediate legacy was the introduction of Macedonian rule to huge swaths of Asia. Many of the areas he conquered remained in Macedonian hands or under Greek influence for the next 200 to 300 years. The successor states that emerged were at least initially dominant forces, and this 300-year period is often referred to as the Hellenistic period. The eastern borders of Alexander's empire began to collapse during his lifetime. However, the power vacuum he left in the northwest of the Indian subcontinent directly gave rise to one of the most powerful Indian dynasties in history. Taking advantage of this, Chandragupta Maurya, referred to in Greek sources as Sandrakotos, of relatively humble origin, took control of the Punjab and with that power base proceeded to conquer the Nanda Empire. The term Hellenization was coined to denote the spread of Greek language, culture, and population into the former Persian Empire after Alexander's conquest. Alexander deliberately pursued Hellenization policies in the communities he conquered. While his intentions may have simply been to disseminate Greek culture, it is more likely that his policies were pragmatic in nature and intended to aid in the rule of his enormous empire via cultural homogenization. Alexander's Hellenization policies can also be viewed as a result of his probable megalomania. Later, his successors explicitly rejected these policies. Nevertheless, Hellenization occurred throughout the region, accompanied by a distinct and opposite Orientalization of the successor states. The core of Hellenistic culture was essentially Athenian. The close association of men from across Greece in Alexander's army directly led to the emergence of the largely Attic-based Koine, or Common Greek dialect. Koine spread throughout the Hellenistic world, becoming the lingua franca of Hellenistic lands, and eventually the ancestor of modern Greek. Furthermore, town planning, education, local government, and art during the Hellenistic periods were all based on classical Greek ideals, evolving into distinct new forms commonly grouped as Hellenistic. Over the course of his conquests, Alexander founded some 20 cities that bore his name, most of them east of the Tigris River. The first and greatest was Alexandria in Egypt, which would become one of the leading Mediterranean cities. The city's locations reflected trade routes as well as defensive positions. At first, the cities must have been inhospitable and little more than defensive garrisons. Following Alexander's death, many Greeks who had settled there tried to return to Greece. However, a century or so after Alexander's death, many of these cities were thriving, with elaborate public buildings and substantial populations that included both Greek and local peoples. Alexander's cities were most likely intended to be administrative headquarters for his empire, primarily settled by Greeks, many of whom would have served in Alexander's military campaigns. The purpose of these administrative centers was to control the newly conquered subject populations. Alexander attempted to create a unified ruling class in conquered territories like Persia, often using marriage ties to intermingle the conquered with conquerors. He also adopted elements of the Persian court culture, adopting his own version of their royal robes and imitating some court ceremonies. Many Macedonians resented these policies, believing hybridization of Greek and foreign cultures to be irreverent. Alexander's attempts at unification also extended to his army. He placed Persian soldiers, some of whom had been trained in the Macedonian style, within Macedonian ranks, solving chronic manpower problems. Alexander's death was so sudden that when reports of his death reached Greece, they were not immediately believed. Alexander had no obvious or legitimate heir because his son, Alexander IV, was born after Alexander's death. According to Diodorus, an ancient Greek historian, Alexander's companions asked him on his deathbed to whom he bequeathed his kingdom. His laconic reply was, "To the strongest." Another, more plausible story claims that Alexander passed his signet ring to Perdiccas, a bodyguard and leader of his companion cavalry, thereby nominating him as his official successor. Perdiccas initially did not claim power, instead suggesting that Alexander's unborn baby would be king if male. He also offered himself, Craterus, Leonidas, and Antipater as guardians of Alexander's unborn child. However, the infantry rejected this arrangement since they had been excluded from the discussion. Instead, they supported Alexander's half-brother, Philip Aridaeus, as Alexander's successor. Eventually, the two sides reconciled, and after the birth of Alexander IV, Perdiccas and Philip III were appointed joint kings, albeit in name only. Dissension and rivalry soon afflicted the Macedonians. After the assassination of Perdiccas in 321 BCE, Macedonian unity collapsed, and 40 years of war between the successors ensued before the Hellenistic world settled into four stable power blocks: the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in the east, the Kingdom of Pergamon in Asia Minor, and Macedon. In the process, both Alexander IV and Philip III were murdered. In conclusion, Alexander the Great's legacy is one of extraordinary conquest, ambition, and cultural transformation. By the time of his death in 323 BCE, he had forged one of the largest empires in the ancient world, stretching from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India. Yet Alexander was more than a military commander. He was a visionary who spread Greek language, ideas, and customs across the known world, initiating the Hellenistic era. This period saw the blending of Greek and Eastern cultures, producing lasting impacts on art, science, politics, and philosophy. Though his empire did not survive intact after his death, Alexander's influence endured for centuries, shaping the course of history and securing his place as one of the most remarkable figures of the ancient world.